My name is Matthew. I'm 63 years old, and 3 weeks ago I discovered that everything I thought I knew about my family was a lie. It started with phone calls. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., my daughter Lily, whispering like someone might hear her, fear in every breath. "Dad, I need to hear your voice." She wouldn't tell me what was wrong, wouldn't let me come over, just kept saying she was handling it. Then one night she stopped answering completely. I drove to her house, the one I helped her and her husband Donald buy 5 years ago. Every light was on, at 3 a.m., and through the windows I could see shadows moving. Too many shadows. I had a spare key, for emergencies. When I opened that door, when I stepped into that house and saw what was really happening, I realized my daughter hadn't been hiding from strangers. She was hiding from someone inside, someone I trusted, someone I loved, someone who'd been systematically destroying both of us for 7 years. What I found in that living room didn't just break my heart. It shattered everything I thought I knew about loyalty, about family, about the people who smile at your Sunday dinner table while stabbing you in the back. But here's what they didn't know. I didn't build a life from nothing by being weak. And my daughter? She's stronger than any of them realized. What happened next? What we did. It brought their entire world crashing down. This is the story of the worst betrayal of my life, and the revenge that followed. If you want to know who was standing in that living room, if you want to know what they'd been doing to me and my daughter for 7 years, if you want to see how we took everything back and made them pay, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that subscribe button. Smash the notification bell because I'm dropping the full story in chapters, and you do not want to miss what happens next. This gets darker, messier, and more shocking than you can possibly imagine. Drop a comment right now and tell me, have you ever trusted someone completely, only to discover they were destroying you the whole time? Like this video if you're ready for a true story about betrayal, revenge, and justice. Share it with someone who needs to hear that you can fight back when the people closest to you become your worst enemies. My name is Matthew, and I never expected to become the kind of father who counts his daughter's phone calls like lifelines. But that's exactly what I became 3 weeks before my entire world collapsed. It started on a Tuesday, October 17th, 2:47 a.m. I remember because I'd been dreaming about my late wife Matilda, one of those vivid dreams where she felt so real I could smell her perfume. The phone shattered that dream like glass. "Dad?" Lily's voice was small, broken. Nothing like the confident real estate attorney who'd argued a case in front of the state Supreme Court just 6 months earlier. "Lily, sweetheart, what's wrong? Are you okay?" Silence. Heavy breathing. Then, I needed to hear your voice. "I'm sorry. Go back to sleep." "Wait, don't hang up. Talk to me. What's going on?" "Nothing. I'm fine, really. Just had a nightmare." But she wasn't fine. I could hear it in every syllable. Could hear something beneath the words. Fear, maybe. Or exhaustion. Or something worse I couldn't name. "Is Donald there? Is everything okay with you two?" "He's asleep. Everything's fine, Dad. I'm sorry I woke you." She hung up before I could press further. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Just lay in the darkness of my bedroom, in the house that had been too big since Matilda left 28 years ago, and stared at the ceiling wondering what my daughter wasn't telling me. The calls kept coming, always between 2 and 4 a.m., always the same pattern. Lily's shaking voice, vague reassurances, quick hang-ups. Sometimes I could hear background noise, footsteps, doors closing, once what sounded like muffled arguing. "Lily, please, let me come over. Let me help." "No, Dad, I'm handling it. I need you to trust me." Trust. That word would haunt me later. By the 3rd week, she sounded hollow, like someone had scooped out everything vital and left only the shell. I'd raised this girl alone after Matilda walked out when Lily was 5. I knew every inflection of her voice, every mood, every fear. This wasn't stress. This wasn't work pressure. This was terror. I started driving by her house during the day. The two-story colonial in Maple Ridge that I'd helped finance, the one with the blue shutters Lily had insisted on because they reminded her of her childhood bedroom. Everything looked normal. Donald's Tesla in the driveway. The lawn perfectly manicured. The American flag I'd given them as a housewarming gift still hanging by the front door. But something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. Then came the night that changed everything. October 31st, Halloween, the night when monsters are supposed to be pretend. My phone rang at 11 p.m. Earlier than usual. I grabbed it before the second ring. Lily? Silence, but she was there. I could hear her breathing. Lily, talk to me, please. Dad. Her voice cracked. Dad, I'm so scared. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to. A sound in the background. A door opening. Her breath hitched. I have to go. Lily, wait. The line went dead. I called back, straight to voicemail. Texted. No response. Called again. Voicemail. Again. 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 Nothing. At midnight, I grabbed my keys. I was done waiting. Done trusting. Done letting my daughter suffer alone while I sat in my empty house pretending everything was fine. The drive to Maple Ridge took 17 minutes. I made it in 12. Every light in her house was on. Every single one. Like someone had flipped every switch in panic or rage or something I couldn't comprehend. I parked across the street and watched. Shadows moved behind the curtains. Multiple shadows. Too many for just Lily and Donald. My heart hammered. Should I call the police? And tell them what? That my daughter made worried phone calls and now had guests at midnight? Then I remembered. I had a spare key. Lily had given it to me 5 years ago when they bought the place. For emergencies, Dad. Just in case. This was an emergency. I crossed the street, key in hand, every instinct screaming that whatever was behind that door would change everything. I had no idea how right I was. The key slid into the lock like it had 1,000 times before. But my hand shook. In 63 years, I'd faced down angry clients, financial audits, the complete destruction of my marriage, and the soul-crushing work of raising a daughter alone. Nothing prepared me for the fear I felt turning that lock. The door opened silently. Lily had always been meticulous about maintenance, WD-40 on the hinges every 6 months, just like I'd taught her. That small detail hit me hard. My little girl, still following the lessons I'd taught her, even while her world was apparently falling apart. The house smelled wrong immediately. Stale alcohol, old takeout, beneath it all, something else, the acrid scent of stress and fear. It's a real smell. I'd learned that when Matilda left. Terror and desperation have an odor that clings to walls and furniture like smoke. Voices drifted from the living room. Male voices, primarily. One was Donald's. I'd recognize that smooth corporate tone anywhere. But there was another voice. Deeper, more authoritative, horribly, impossibly familiar. You signed the papers, Lily. It's done. Stop being dramatic about this. That was Donald, my son-in-law, the successful commercial real estate developer I'd welcomed into our family, the man who'd promised to take care of my daughter at their wedding 7 years ago. Dramatic. He'd called her dramatic. Then the other voice, Lily, sweetheart, your father doesn't need to know about this. It's better for everyone if we keep this between us. He's getting older. Why burden him with complicated business matters he won't understand? My blood turned to ice. That voice belonged to my brother, Kissinger, my younger brother by 4 years, the one I'd put through law school when our parents couldn't afford it, the one I'd lent $30,000 to start his consulting firm 15 years ago, money he'd never paid back, but I'd never asked for because family helped family, right? The one who came to Sunday dinners, who called me every week to check in, who'd stood beside me at Matilda's father's funeral just last year and held me while I cried. My hands clenched into fists. I moved toward the living room, my footsteps silent on Lily's expensive hardwood floors. The floors I'd helped install one summer when Donald claimed to be too busy with a big development deal. The scene in the living room froze me in the doorway. Lily sat on the couch, the gray sectional she'd spent 3 months picking out, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Her face was pale, gaunt, dark circles under her eyes like bruises. Her hands were shaking as she held a stack of papers. Donald stood over her, his 6-foot frame positioned in that aggressive lean I'd seen him use in business meetings. Intimidation posture. I'd just never imagined he'd use it on my daughter. And Kissinger. Kissinger sat next to Lily on the couch, his hand on her shoulder in a gesture that looked comforting to anyone who didn't see the way my daughter's whole body was rigid under his touch. Papers were spread across the coffee table. Legal documents, bank statements, property deeds, all with my name on them. They were so focused on Lily they didn't notice me at first. I had maybe 3 seconds to process the scene before they realized I was there. 3 seconds to see that my daughter looked like a prisoner. 3 seconds to see documents with my forged signature scattered across the table. 3 seconds to understand that the 2 men I trusted most in this world, my brother and my son-in-law, were in this together. Then Lily looked up and saw me. Dad. The word came out like a sob, like a prayer, like the last breath of a drowning person breaking the surface. Tears started streaming down her face immediately. Donald spun around. His expression shifted through surprise, calculation, and finally settled on something like annoyance. Kissinger's face went pale, then red, then carefully, deliberately neutral. "Matthew," my brother said, standing slowly, "this isn't what it looks like." I stepped into the room. My voice came out steady, cold. Nothing like the rage burning through my chest. "Then tell me, brother, what exactly does it look like when I find you in my daughter's house at midnight, making her cry over documents with my name on them?" Lily stood up, the papers falling from her hands. "Dad," she whispered. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to tell you." Her voice broke completely. "They've been stealing from you. For 7 years." 7 years. The number hung in the air like poison. I watched my brother's face, the face I'd known for 59 years, the face that looked like our father's, the face I'd trusted without question, and saw him calculate his next move. "Lily, you're being hysterical," Donald said, moving toward her. "Matthew, your daughter has been under a lot of stress. She's not thinking clearly. Don't." My voice cut through the room like a blade. "Don't take another step toward her." I'm 63, but I'm still 6'2". Still have the build from years of manual labor before I started my accounting firm. Donald stopped moving. Kissinger tried a different approach, the smooth, reasonable tone he used in mediation sessions. "Brother, please, sit down. Let's talk about this calmly. There's been a misunderstanding." "Show me the papers," I said to Lily. Her hands trembled as she bent down to gather the documents from the floor. Donald moved like he might stop her, but I took a step forward and he froze. Good. Let him see that I wasn't the doddering old man they apparently thought I was. Lily handed me the first document, a loan application, $150,000. My signature at the bottom, except I'd never applied for any loan. The date, March 2019, 4 years ago. "Keep going," I said quietly. She handed me another. A property deed transfer, my signature, my house, the house I'd paid off 15 years ago, used as collateral for a commercial real estate investment. Date, September 2020. Another document, another forged signature, another piece of my life stolen. My hands started shaking, not from fear, from rage so pure it felt like ice in my veins. "How much?" I asked. My voice sounded strange, distant. Lily's face crumpled. "Dad, How? Much?" Kissinger stood up. "Matthew, if you'd just let me explain the business rationale." "Sit down and shut up." I didn't raise my voice, didn't have to. Something in my tone made my brother sink back onto the couch like a scolded child. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. The weight loss made sense now. The dark circles, the late-night calls. She hadn't been calling because she was in danger from strangers. She'd been calling because she was drowning, and the people holding her under were her husband and her uncle. "Tell me," I said gently. "All of it." Lily wrapped her arms around herself. "They started 7 years ago, right after Donald and I got married. Small things at first, using your information for credit applications, claiming you were a co-signer on business ventures. Kissinger had access to your financial records because you'd made him your backup accountant when you had that health scare in 2018. I remembered. I'd had pneumonia, been hospitalized for a week, asked Kissinger to handle some client accounts while I recovered. My brother, my trusted brother. They built a real estate portfolio," Lily continued, her voice hollow. "Strip malls, commercial properties, residential developments, all using your credit, your assets as collateral, your identity. They made it look legitimate. Real companies, real investments. But the profits went to shell corporations Donald controlled." "And you found out when?" I asked. She closed her eyes. 6 months ago. I was filing our joint taxes and found discrepancies. Started digging. Found everything. Why didn't you tell me?" Her eyes snapped open, filled with tears and shame. "Because Donald said if I told you, he'd make sure it looked like I was complicit. He'd destroy my law license, my career, my reputation. He said," her voice broke, "he said no one would believe you over documented proof. He had my signature on some of the later documents. He made me sign them, Dad. Said it was just paperwork for our personal investments. I trusted him." Donald finally spoke, his voice dripping with contempt. "You would have wasted that money anyway, old man. Sitting in your house, living your small little life. At least we built something with it. An empire. You should be thanking us for making your pathetic savings actually matter." The room went silent. I looked at this man I'd welcomed into my family, who'd called me Dad at holidays, who I'd helped move furniture and fix plumbing and celebrate promotions. "How much?" I asked again. Lily's whisper was barely audible. "Everything, Dad. Your retirement accounts, your investments, the equity in your house. They took everything. Almost $800,000. My entire life. Gone. $800,000. 37 years of work. Every sacrifice I'd made after Matilda left. Every client dinner, every late night at the office, every penny saved instead of spent. The security I'd built so Lily would never struggle the way I had. Gone. I should have collapsed, should have raged, should have done something dramatic. Instead, I felt cold clarity settle over me like ice water. "Lily," I said quietly, "do you have evidence? Proof that you didn't willingly participate?" She nodded quickly. "I've been documenting everything for 6 months. Every forged signature, every coerced document I was forced to sign. Recordings of Donald and Kissinger discussing the scheme. Text messages, emails. Everything is backed up in cloud storage they don't know about." "You recorded us?" Donald's voice went sharp with panic. "That's illegal without consent." "Maryland is a one-party consent state," Lily said, "and I heard my daughter, my brilliant attorney daughter, resurface through the fear. I only needed my own consent. Every recording is completely legal and admissible." I watched Donald's face pale, watched Kissinger stand up slowly, his hands raised like I was a wild animal he needed to calm. "Matthew, brother, please. Let's think about this rationally. If this goes public, it hurts everyone. Lily's reputation, your dignity. Do you really want people knowing you were foolish enough to be robbed for 7 years without noticing?" That word. Foolish. Something snapped. "You're right," I said quietly. "I was foolish. Foolish to trust my brother. Foolish to welcome a man into my family who saw my daughter as a tool and my life savings as an opportunity." I pulled out my phone. "What are you doing?" Kissinger's voice cracked. "Calling my attorney." "Wait, Matthew, wait. We can fix this. We can pay you back. Set up a payment plan. Just, just give us time. Your time is up. I dialed. Not just any attorney. I called Robert Chen, the prosecutor I'd done accounting work for when he was building a case against a Ponzi scheme 5 years ago. We'd become friends. He owed me favors. He answered on the second ring, voice groggy. "Matthew, it's almost 1 in the morning. Everything okay?" "Robert, I need you to listen carefully. I'm at my daughter's house. I've just discovered a 7-year fraud scheme involving identity theft, forgery, and elder abuse. The perpetrators are my brother and son-in-law, and my daughter has documented evidence of everything." Silence. Then, "Don't move. Don't let anyone leave. I'm calling the Financial Crimes Unit right now. Are you safe?" I looked at Donald and Kissinger. Donald had started moving toward the door. I stepped in front of it. "I'm safe," I said. "They're not going anywhere." "Matthew, you're making a mistake," Kissinger started. "Lily," I cut him off. "Send everything to Robert's email right now. Every file, every recording, everything." My daughter pulled out her phone with shaking hands and started typing. Donald lunged for her. I didn't think, just reacted. 30 years ago, I might have thrown a punch. At 63, I just put myself between them, my full weight and height blocking his path. "Try it," I said quietly. "Please, give me a reason." He backed off, but the look in his eyes was pure hatred. "You're destroying your daughter's life. You know that, right? When this comes out, everyone will know she was involved. Her marriage, her career, all of it will be ruined because you couldn't let this go." I looked at Lily. She was crying, but she was still typing, still sending files. "My daughter's life was already destroyed," I said. "By you. I'm just helping her rebuild it." "Sent," Lily whispered. "Everything. It's all sent." Robert's voice came through the phone. "Got it. Matthew, I'm looking at the first few files now. This is systematic fraud. The Financial Crimes Unit is dispatching officers now. ETA 15 minutes. Keep everyone there." Kissinger dropped onto the couch, head in his hands. "You're really doing this? To your own brother?" "You did this," I said, 7 years ago, when you decided I was worth more to you as a victim than as family." Donald tried one last time. "Lily, tell him. Tell him you'll lose everything if he goes through with this." My daughter looked up. Her face was streaked with tears, but her voice was steady. "I already lost everything that mattered. He's helping me get it back." Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. The next 72 hours felt like living inside a tornado. Police cars, flashing lights, neighbors in their doorways watching as officers led Donald and Kissinger out in handcuffs. The shame of it should have destroyed me, seeing my brother, my own blood, arrested in front of strangers. But all I felt was exhaustion and relief. Lily moved back into my house that same night. She stood in her old bedroom doorway, the one with blue walls we'd painted together when she was 12, and finally broke down completely. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I should have told you sooner. I was just so scared. Donald said he'd ruin me. Said no one would believe I wasn't part of it. And Kissinger kept saying it would kill you, that you were too old to handle the stress, that I'd be responsible if you had a heart attack." I held my daughter while she sobbed. Held her like I did when she was 5, and Matilda walked out that door for the last time. "You did the right thing," I whispered. "You gathered evidence. You protected us both. You were brave, Lily. So damn brave. I don't feel brave. I feel like I destroyed our family. They destroyed our family 7 years ago. We're just now seeing the rubble." The investigation moved fast. Federal prosecutors, forensic accountants, FBI agents specializing in financial crimes. Turns out when you have documented evidence of systematic fraud, recordings, emails, forged documents, the wheels of justice can actually turn quickly. Within a week, every fraudulent loan was frozen. Every property purchased with my stolen funds was seized pending investigation. Donald's real estate empire, the one he'd built on my stolen life savings, collapsed overnight when the banks discovered the foundation was nothing but lies. The media picked it up. Local news first, then regional. Prominent developer accused of defrauding elderly father-in-law. My face on television. Our story dissected by strangers. My phone rang constantly. Old clients offering support, friends I hadn't spoken to in years, and calls I didn't answer, from Kissinger's lawyer begging me to reconsider, from my brother himself sobbing messages from jail. Please, Matthew, I made a mistake. You have to help me. Family helps family, remember. That's what you always said. Family helps family. I listened to that voicemail 3 times before I deleted it. Because he was right. I had always said that. And I'd meant it. But family doesn't steal. Family doesn't forge. Family doesn't spend 7 years systematically destroying the person who loved them most. Lily stopped sleeping through the night. I'd hear her crying at 3 a.m., the same time she used to call me. Sometimes I'd sit outside her door, just being present. Sometimes I'd knock and we'd have tea in the kitchen, not talking, just existing in the wreckage together. "Do you hate me for not telling you sooner?" she asked one night. "Never. Not for 1 second. Donald's family does. His mother called me a traitor, said I destroyed her son's life over money." Over money. Like that's all it was. "His mother didn't see you the night I found you," I said quietly. "Didn't see how small you'd become. How scared. That wasn't about money, Lily. That was about survival." 3 weeks after the arrests, we met with the forensic accountants. They'd traced everything, every forged loan, every fraudulent investment, every stolen dollar. Final accounting, $847,000 stolen over 7 years. Amount recovered, approximately $680,000. Between seized properties, frozen accounts, and liquidated assets, we'd get back about 80%. The other $167,000 was gone, spent, lost in the wreckage of Donald's failed ventures and Kissinger's lifestyle upgrades. "I'm sorry we couldn't recover everything," the accountant said. I looked at Lily sitting beside me, alive and free and slowly becoming herself again. "You recovered what mattered," I told him. The trial date was set. Donald facing 15 years for fraud, identity theft, and coercion. Kissinger facing 20 for elder abuse, conspiracy, and his role as the architect of the scheme. Their lawyers tried to make deals, reduced sentences in exchange for testimony against each other, honor among thieves, dissolving the moment consequences arrived. Then, 2 months after that Halloween night, Lily told me something that changed everything again. We were having breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, coffee, Sunday morning, the kind of quiet moment I thought we'd lost forever. She set down her fork and looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Dad, I'm pregnant." Time stopped. I found out 2 weeks before you came to the house that night. I was going to tell Donald, and then everything exploded. My daughter, my brave, broken daughter, carrying new life in the middle of all this death and betrayal. I'm 63 years old, and I've learned something important. Revenge is a meal that leaves you hungry. 4 months after the arrests, I did something nobody expected. I went to see Kissinger in prison. Lily begged me not to. "Dad, why would you do that to yourself?" I didn't have a good answer, just knew I needed to look him in the eye one more time, needed to understand how someone I'd loved could destroy me so completely. He looked small in that orange jumpsuit, smaller than I'd ever seen my little brother. He cried when he saw me, real tears, ugly and broken. We sat across from each other in that sterile visiting room, and I asked the only question that mattered. "Why?" He stared at his hands for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "Because you were always better than me. At everything. Better son, better father, better man. And I wanted to win for once. To be the successful one. The important one. And when Donald approached me with the plan, it felt like finally Finally, I could have something you didn't. 20 years of therapy couldn't have prepared me for how pathetic that answer was. How human. How devastating. I didn't absolve him. Didn't offer comfort. Just said, "You were already successful, Kissinger. You just couldn't see it." Then I left. I haven't been back. Donald refused to see Lily. Refused to acknowledge the pregnancy. His family hired expensive lawyers who tried to paint my daughter as a co-conspirator. It failed spectacularly. He's currently serving 12 years. Kissinger got 18. His lawyer managed to reduce the sentence by claiming I had psychologically manipulated him our entire lives. The judge didn't buy it. 5 months ago, Lily gave birth. A girl. She named her Hope. Not after optimism, but after my late wife. Hope Matilda. I held my granddaughter for the first time and saw Matilda's eyes looking back at me, and I understood something crucial. Revenge gave me justice, but it didn't give me peace. Justice returned most of my money, put the criminals behind bars, validated my pain. But peace? Peace came from watching Lily smile again when Hope grabs her finger. From Sunday mornings where it's just 3 generations, damaged but healing. I still get angry, still have nightmares about that doorway, that moment when my world shifted. Probably always will. But I also have this. My daughter is free. My granddaughter will grow up knowing that standing up for what's right is hard and hurts, but it's worth it. They took my money, took years of my life, took my ability to trust easily, but they didn't take my daughter, didn't take my dignity, didn't take my future. I'm 63 years old. I'm starting over with $680,000 and 100% of what matters. Every evening, Lily brings Hope over and we sit on the porch watching the sunset. And I realize I'm not the man I was before that doorway. I'm scarred. I'm wiser. But I'm also a father and grandfather who stood in the gap when it mattered most. That's not revenge. That's not even justice. That's love. That's survival. That's enough. Thank you for staying with me through this story, for witnessing my pain, my daughter's courage, and our journey back from betrayal. If this story moved you, if it made you think about trust, family, or the strength it takes to stand up to the people you love, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is about real stories from real people who've survived the unthinkable. Smash that like button if you believe Lily and I did the right thing. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have done the same? Could you have turned in your own family? Share this video with someone who needs to hear that you can survive betrayal, that justice is possible, that love is stronger than revenge. And hit that notification bell because next week I'm sharing another true story, this time about a woman who discovered her best friend of 30 years had been living a double life. Remember, when someone you love starts making those desperate late-night calls, pay attention. The answer might be waiting behind a doorway you never expected to walk through. Thank you for being part of this community, for caring, for listening. See you in the next story. Matthew.